Well, Chris Verlod sent me a link to our next guest article, really breaking down the firing of Josh McDaniels, and it was long, and I don't mean that as a negative. I mean it was long and detailed and sourced, and I learned a lot of things I had not learned before. So we had to go get him today. He was nice enough to come on with us from Sports Illustrated. Hondo Carpenter. Hondo, it's Dave. It's Jason. Good morning. Thank you for coming on. How are you?
Good morning, Dave and Jason. I always love coming on in Sactown. I got family there that listens to you guys. When I'm in town, I'm always listening, so it's an honor to be with you.
That's
awesome.
Is there a better way to start a
That's
friendship
perfect.
than that? I mean,
best friends.
As I said in your lead, and you probably heard yesterday afternoon, Chris sent me a link to the tweet that was out about Josh McDaniels, the article you wrote, and I'm just going to replay it exactly how it happened. Chris sent it to me. I was going to look at the first couple paragraphs, say, yeah, we'd love to bring this guy on. Let's talk about it. It was in the middle of one of the football games. I read the whole thing, and I mean, top to bottom, I couldn't stop reading it because it was just heavy with anecdotes and things I didn't really realize, Hondo, that, nobody hated Josh McDaniels. He just lost them. They weren't having fun. It is by far the best recap I've read of the entire situation. So congratulations. And honestly, you've got contacts there because it seems like you pretty much talked to the entire franchise.
Yeah, first of all, I appreciate that. I think that's one of the things that people don't understand is Josh McDaniels wasn't hated here. Now, the fun was gone. It was like the oxygen had been sucked out of the room, but I'm seeing a lot of people trying to make it a narrative that Mark Davis hated him or the players hated him, and it's just not true. In fact, Raider Nation has been whooping my tail. Oh, you're just a show for the team because you won't report that he lost the locker room. Well, let me give you an example. I'm walking out of the locker room because, oh, by the way, I'm in there.
Right.
And
like everyone on Twitter, they're all in there too, Hondo.
Well, I had 4 different players stop me, 4 different players, and say, I know you're getting your ass kicked, but I really appreciate the fact that you're being honest and telling people that, he didn't lose our locker room. You don't keep fighting for a guy you've quit on. And not one of them. That was one of the things for Mark Davis that made it so difficult, was because everybody was frustrated, and I reported that. I was very open about it. But he would talk to players and all of them be like, yeah, this is frustrating. This is frustrating. Well, what do you think, man? We got to do better. We have to execute. And no, I don't know. Yeah, that's not true. I know one guy that didn't like him, but as a whole, it was, he didn't lose the team. I had one of the guys on the team tell this story, and I thought it was just brilliant. He said he had a friend whose dad went to prison while his mom was pregnant with him. And decades later, his dad gets out of prison, and he said his dad didn't know how to operate in the real world. And his dad went to prison at 18 and gets out in his 40s and had no clue how to operate. And the player said it was almost like that with Josh, that he didn't know how to operate outside of New England. Now, to his credit, he wasn't the arrogant bastard that he was in Denver, and I'm friends with him, but that's true. And, they would have never had a Thursday meeting before he got fired in New England. Bill Belichick would have never let that happen. But at that meeting, Josh decided, I want everyone to talk. I'm all in. I mean, Devontae Adams has been critical. Other players have been critical, and he never once tried to shut them up. He wanted them. He said, these are your stars. They got to have a voice. And in that meeting, he realized something, that it wasn't just frustration with him. There was players who voiced their frustration with other coaches or other players or coaches with other players. And he realized, this room there's a lot of problems here. And that's when eventually, when Mark Davis had assured him and Dave Ziegler and others that they were going to be back. I had reported just a few weeks before. People said, what are the chances he gets fired? I said, well, you never say 100 in this league, so I'm going to say 95 that he doesn't. And watching the rigidity of Josh McDaniels, the unwillingness when he starts Aiden O'Connell in L.A. to change the offense, and Josh's belief, well, the kid will get it. He'll come around. And then you go to Chicago where the team loves Aiden. But okay, if he's not going to change it, let's go with Brian Hoyer, who's 15 years in the system. Then when it doesn't work, he doesn't make a change. He goes to Detroit, back to Garoppolo. Garoppolo's horrible, won't make a change. And when Mark Davis saw his players just not having any fun, there was no joy, no emotion, he knew, I have to make the change. And to his credit, he's now eating about $120 million in contracts for guys that aren't here anymore. When you add in John Gruden and $47 million to Josh and the money to Ziegler, and that's not a guy, the narrative is, oh, the Raiders are broke. Well, that narrative is such a lie. It's not true. They're rolling in money, but I don't care how wealthy you are. 120 mil is 120 mil. And he just decided, I have to do this. I have to do what's best for my team. I thought Mark Davis, who is not a football guy like his dad, which you all know, but he's a 10 times better businessman than his father, I think he took a step towards being a better football guy.
Hondo, I'm listening to that, and it makes me think about McDaniels obviously having a little bit of a pulse there on the team, realizing, hey, we gotta air this out, we gotta talk. But at one point, did he, or I don't want to say, is he incapable of making it fun? Is he too trapped in the New England way to make it more of a situation that the guys were truly having ownership of the team as well and invested in having the fun that Mark Davis was looking for?
That is a great question, and I'm going to answer it this way. I said before the New England Patriot game, it was going to be the biggest game of the year for Josh McDaniels. I said, and if for somehow they go on an improbable Super Bowl run, it will not be as big as this game. Now, I didn't tell anyone why. This is the first time I've reported it, and that's on your show. It's going to be in an article later this week. But the reason is had he lost there, they would have been the same record as the Patriots, which are failing, and he would have lost his job. And that win gave him some breathing room. And after that win, Mark Davis even assured them they would be back. But after that win, one of the star players mentioned to me how happy he was for Josh and how excited he was that they got that win for Josh. Everyone in that room knew that was a huge game. There was a lot of pressure, and they were so excited. Then they that got them off a losing streak. So then they come back on Wednesday. They were in the building Monday and Tuesday, but on Wednesday, and the guy texted me. And now you have to understand, he does not hate Josh at all. But he's like, man, that mother blank, he's no different after a win. And the player said to me, I understand the process. He said, but we're out here, we make a lot of money. But fans and real players don't like guys who only play for the money. There has to be an element of fun, because on any play, we're risking our lives. And I believe, and this is my personal opinion, and I consider Josh a friend, I believe that he has been so institutionalized, like that guy I told you whose dad was in prison in New England, and it's been so ground into him. It's the process, that I don't think he was having any fun. Now, I'm going to say this, and this is not me telling you what I know about Josh, but this is Hondo Carpenter, the man that's here every day, that's in the building, that considers Josh a friend, and I care about him. I don't think he would tell you this, but I believe there is a part of him that's relieved, because who wants to go through life being miserable? I'm married. I met my wife on September 9th of 1981. It was a Wednesday, and I was 10 and she was 8, and went home and told my dad, that's my wife. And I love being married to her. My wife every single day just makes life amazing. She's my best friend. And when I hear men talk about how miserably married they are, I hear women, I can't fathom that, because marriage to me is to my very best friend and one of the greatest things that ever happened to me outside my faith. And so I think he's been so institutionalized that there's no joy in the game. Now, I think he loves football. I don't think he knows how to love it and enjoy it. And I think that's interesting. And, you guys, one of the reasons, and I listen to you, and one of the reasons I love you guys' show is it's not a stupid call-in show with two guys acting like idiots who then want 500 people to call in and make dumb opinions. You guys are smart. You have absolute fun with it. You love it. I love listening to you guys. Just some of the things you say are hilarious, but yet it's still football or it's relevant to whatever's, live at that moment. Some people are able to learn to love their job and enjoy it, and it comes across. It's why the good, I do hundreds of radio, TV, and podcasts a week. I think I got 104 scheduled this week. And one of the reasons that I love doing your show, and when you guys call it, absolutely, I'll do it, is I like being around people that enjoy their job. It makes life better. And I think for the Raiders, they're in there smoking cigars, they're having fun, they're enjoying the game. Antonio Pierce is hard. The man is hard on them, but they're having fun, they're laughing. They're getting 2 days off after a win, and he understands. He's been there. And, I'm going to go back to one other thing. There was a report that after the Thursday meeting, Josh jumped Antonio Pierce. And I can tell you with 100% fact, so obviously I spoke to somebody who was in the room on the private meeting. First of all, it didn't happen in the room with everyone. It was a meeting a day or two later. And it was Josh not bemoaning what Antonio said. He knew what Antonio was going to say. Antonio is a fiery guy. It was him bemoaning that people didn't accept him as a Raider, but as a Patriot. And I think that's a great step into his mindset, that I think he loved being here. I just don't think that Josh, outside of football, he's a happy, wonderful man. I don't think he knows how to enjoy it. And I think you're learning now. I was the first to report about 8 weeks ago that I was hearing if Bill Belichick didn't get to the playoffs, he was going to be fired. I was the first one anywhere in the country to report it. And I believe what we're seeing now is that the Patriot way is not real, smoke and mirrors, that it's the Tom Brady way. And when you take Tom Brady away from Bill Belichick and Josh McDaniels, they're human. And I think that Mark Davis is the last of the NFL owners that is going to be deceived by the Patriot way.
Wow. We just became best friends.
Yes.
Hondo Carpenter joining us on top of this whole thing. And I just tweeted the article out. It is a must read for Raider fans. Really, I'm not a Raider fan, for football fans. Really an in-depth, what we call a TikTok of everything leading up. It is beautifully, perfectly sourced. Hondo, we're out of time. Appreciate you. Keep up the good work. And I hope you'll let us talk to you again here in the future.
Anytime you guys call, I always accept it. So thanks, guys. I appreciate you very much.
All right,
Thank
take
you.
care. It's Hondo Carpenter.
Wow.
A lot of great info in
Yeah.
there. I really do suggest you. Look, he hung up. We already got the guest. I don't need to plug it still. I'm telling you, read the article. It's a good one. We'll take a break. When we come back,